Oh, yeah. Gonna be a good show tonight. I think a pretty good show. We got ICE agents. They are under attack. Portland, Oregon. Chicago, the mayor there, who has the IQ of a potato, decided to do some tomfoolery. And we're going to get into that tonight, but make sure you go to ryanfsamuels.com/shop and get all of your gear and your merchandise. Always, you could save with promo code Samuels. Hello, Patriots. Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show. We have a very interesting show tonight. This subject just keeps coming up. And the Democrats just won't let it go. Donald Trump is doing what he was elected to do, and that is deport as many illegal aliens that are in the United States as humanly possible. That's why he was elected. That's one of the main core reasons that Donald Trump was elected to the presidency of the United States, because the Biden administration and the Harris administration permitted open borders and allowed millions and millions of illegal aliens to enter the United States. Now, this is a multifaceted subject, okay? It's very easy to misconstrue, which is what the Democrats are doing, and that's what they're trying to do. That's kind of their whole mission in life, is to kind of twist this around and make it something that it is not. And it's our job, or my job, to look at it objectively and seek the truth, okay, which is what we're going to do tonight. Number one, the executive branch has a duty and a responsibility, and the federal government has a duty and a responsibility to remove people who have not been vetted and who are illegally in the United States. If you're in the United States illegally, that's a homeland security threat. Okay? We don't know who these people are. We don't know what they're doing in this country, what their purpose is. We don't know their background. We don't know if they're terrorists. We don't know if they're foreign adversaries. We don't know anything. The only thing we know is that they did not take the time to come to the United States legally. Now that falls under the executive, the federal government, to make sure that these people are either vetted and given amnesty or whatever they want to do, right? Or whatever the people vote for. I don't believe in amnesty. Ronald Reagan did amnesty in California, and that was one of the biggest reasons California is a major blue state nowadays. One of my many critiques of Ronald Reagan. But the notion that they're just some Gestapo group who is ripping people out of their homes and kidnapping people, and they're just this radical, extreme, Nazi-like organization is absolutely insane. Also, the media is talking about how Donald Trump's polls are suffering from it. We're going to go over all of that too. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back in 47 seconds.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Harsh to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
So, Chicago Mayor Brendan Johnson, the guy is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay. He has created what he is calling an ICE-free zone. All right. Let's listen to what he has to say. Let's watch this.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. And today, we are signing an executive order.
Staging grounds.
Aimed
for raids. Which means that they can't meet, essentially, they cannot meet on public property. The ICE agents cannot meet on government property. There's a couple of things that's wrong with this. Number one, the federal government is the federal government. There is states' rights. Okay, I'm a very, very big believer in states' rights. But the federal government does have some ground here. To pass an executive order as a city mayor saying, "Oh, the federal government is not permitted to assemble on city property," is not going to really go very far. That's not something that's going to happen. But Democrats continue to downplay the situation. We got to be careful here, okay? Because there's a lot of misinformation out there on the left side and also the right side of the aisle too. And that's what we need to discuss and kind of decipher here. The right side of the aisle is saying that, all these protesters are Antifa. Okay. That's not necessarily true. Not all of these people out there who are messing with police officers and federal officials, they're not all Antifa. Okay. That's something that's important to note. And then the Democrats are saying, hey, this isn't bad. This is just peaceful protests normally. Let's watch one of these peaceful protests. non-lethal rounds. Looks like they have lids to these are lids for like those big Tupperware containers you can get at Home Depot, and they're using them kind of as makeshift shields, the protesters are. Fight fascism. I mean, CS grass, non-lethal grenades. Now, what I don't understand is why you would put yourself in that situation over something that doesn't even affect you. The ICE agents picking up the illegal immigrants, I don't understand how it affects you, but the propaganda is there and the propaganda continues. Recently, a federal court had ruled that Trump could not send the National Guard into Oregon. Now here's the problem with these federal judges is that they're more like activists. Okay, they don't like what the president's doing, and they therefore, come up with some ruling to shut it down. Now the judge is appointed by usually typically a politician, right? If it's a federal judge, it's a president gets appointed, not just Supreme Court judges are supported or appointed, but the federal judges are too, and that's the downside of appointments. Now, political appointed judges, what they're supposed to do is they're appointed for life. So, like a Supreme Court justice is appointed for life either by Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Donald Trump, and they're appointed for life so that they can make decisions that are in the guidelines of the law and how they feel that it should be made, not some political crusade that they're spewing onto the entire world. But here's the ruling. I'm going to pull it over here. It says the second temporary restraining order expires by its own terms in 14 days on October 9, 2025. Plaintiffs are ordered to post a nominal bond of $100 within 48 hours. The bond shall be filed in the clerk's office and deposited into the registry of the court. Defendants request to stay or administratively stay in second temporary restraining order, which was raised hearing the plaintiff's second motion for temporary restraining order is denied. The clerk will contact the parties to schedule a telephone hearing on October 17, 2025 to address on whether this second temporary restraining order should be extended for another 14 days. Any motion for a preliminary injunction shall be filed on no later than October 17, 2025. Based on the court's prior opinion and order granting plaintiff's first motion and temporary restraining order, the hearing on plaintiff's second motion for temporary restraining order. Okay. Basically, they're just saying that Donald Trump cannot bring in federal troops to Oregon. Okay, a federal judge has ruled that. It appears that the Trump administration is going to do it anyway, and this is a problem, and it's a problem because the federal government has way too much power. It has always had way too much power. I like Donald Trump. I agree with Donald Trump for 97%, probably 95%. Of the things that he does and his ideas, which are typically not his own, by the way, because he doesn't really have a political philosophy. But the constant back and forth between people abusing power and then people using power to try to fix the abuse of power by expanding power, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing Donald Trump, what he's attempting to do is restore the United States. But by doing it, he has to severely flex the muscle and power of the federal government. Now, what that does is it sets precedent. So now that precedent carries on to whoever gets in office next. God willing, it will be J.D. Vance. Or it could be AOC. She's the number one runner for the Democrat Party. Or Bernie Sanders. And now he uses the federal government and uses the powers that Donald Trump sent in to send the National Guard in to make sure that hospitals are giving people free health care. It's severely hyperbolic, probably will not happen, and definitely an exaggerated statement, but I'm doing it to make a point. These are things that we need to be cautious of. But the propaganda continues. CBS News did a story, okay, on this ICE facility. This is in Chicago. So we're going to kind of jump back and forth between Chicago and Portland because there's things going on in both places. All right. The Chicago issue is an issue primarily because the city is just in shambles. The city is extremely crime-ridden, serious murders every weekend, hundreds of them. Extraordinary drugs and armed burglaries and robberies. It's a major city that's ran by Democrats, which means it's loaded with crime. But now, what do you get in those major cities when you have police sheriffs or deputies or police officers? You get severely liberal and Democratic police chiefs, which is what we're going to talk about here in a second. Now, there is a CBS News Chicago reporter standing outside of the ICE facility, and somebody calls 911. Now, they don't know who calls 911. They think they know who called 911, and then they proceed to talk about how the ICE agents themselves, the federal police officers, are making false 911 calls.
You are watching as Broadview police respond to a 911 call, claiming someone was tampering with a gate at the ICE detention facility there. Body camera footage obtained by the CBS News Chicago investigators shows several Broadview police officers respond to an alleged Homeland Security threat.
Homeland Security threat.
The gate in question is where ICE takes detained immigrants for processing.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
How are you?
Good. We got a call of subjects trying to climb over the fence or something.
No, not since we've been here.
But when police arrive, all they find is two people and a camera. Our CBS photographer filming the exterior of the building with a CBS security guard by his side.
So, let's get this straight, CBS. Somebody calls 911 because somebody is saying, allegedly, that somebody's tampering with the gate. It started off by the report saying, hey, it's tampering with the gate. Then it turned into the officers arrive. We got a call for somebody trying to climb over the fence. Then they get there, and the CBS reporter's there who says, oh, I don't know if anybody tampered with the gate. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. I don't know anybody. And then was it the CBS reporter messing with the gate? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. But the CBS is reporting this as if there's not even a probability or a likelihood or a possibility that maybe this guy walked over to the gate and tried to use the bathroom and pulled on it or something. And the ICE agents are super on alert because they're literally being hunted with snipers in buildings and rioters with freaking tops to giant Tupperware bins trying to fight them.
And you guys didn't tamper with any of those?
No, man.
The 911 call
No, of course not.
claiming someone was tampering with the gate came from an ICE agent. According to this incident report, an ICE agent called police for help.
But he can't go and try to force his way in that door.
Okay, so the guy in the
He just says
No,
that
the
he
guy
was
in
just
the
recording.
camera.
Do you believe that?
So notice how they cut that off. That the ICE agent that the police are talking to, they're saying, well, he can't go and try to force his way into the door. So obviously the guy is saying, and the police officer, well, he's just filming, and then they cut it off. So what did he say after that? Did he say, no, homeboy tried to get in the building? Like, that's what he was trying to do, but that's not what they're saying. Here's this police chief. You think this guy is a Trump supporter?
That was a false call?
I do.
Again, it was just our CBS photographer filming the exterior of the building.
In your mind, bogus.
Yeah, so now he's here with the ICE agent telling him,
I do.
again.
You can't pull on that gate.
And it was just our
Look at him.
CBS photographer
He's pointing to the gate.
filming the exterior of the building.
And he's telling him you can't open that gate. You can't try to open that gate. But you can't hear that because the cast over voice of the CBS reporter is saying that they were just filming. But this guy called the police because somebody was trying to get in the gate. Then the police show up. The police talk to the guy. And then the guy's telling the police, yeah, he can record. He just can't try to open the gate. And then the ICE agent goes back out to the reporter to tell him, you can record, you just can't open the gate. So did this guy try to open the gate? The CBS is acting as if the ICE agents are just filing false police reports, and then the police chief is completely on board.
Mind bogus. Yes. It's disturbing. It's ridiculous.
Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills says this is just one of several questionable 911 calls his police department.
Again, pointing at the gate, pointing at the guy, then pointing at the gate, the ICE agent, saying this guy tried to get in that gate and he cannot do that. This is what he's doing.
911 calls his police department
Pointing at the gate.
has received from ICE at this facility recently. This same detention center has become the site of at least 3 other incidents involving federal agents who are accused of hitting people with cars.
Hitting people with cars, you can't block the road.
Shooting projectiles and using
Shooting projectiles. They're shooting pepper balls because people are getting in their way and stopping them from doing their job. Stopping them from bringing people in the facility or bringing people out of the facility.
Hitting people with cars. Shooting projectiles and using chemical agents on journalists, including a CBS reporter last Sunday.
Chemical agents. It's CS gas. You can't control where that friggin' stuff goes. But that's the media, and that's how they spin it. So that's just one report about how the situation's being handled. Now, there's tons of reports of protesters attacking ICE agents. Where are you on that, CBS? Actually, I have a video right here about some dude spitting in an ICE agent's face, and I think they immediately regret it. Let's see what you think.
You guys don't belong here! Go back to the fucking South where you belong! Fuck you! You are protecting pedophiles!
These people are mentally ill. They just want to go scream at authority figures.
You are protecting Get out of our city! Get out of our city! Get out of here, bitch!
Now, these people are agitators. They're professional agitators. Their job is to get in your face and get you to hit them or push them so that they can get this big thing about how ICE agents or police officers or whoever they're trying to agitate is violent and then sue them. Or for their political cause about whoever hired them to be there. That's a real thing.
Get out of our state!
See, you can't. You could say whatever you want to say, and then he spit on him, and my man went just a little bit too far. Now let's watch how this plays out.
Get out of our state! Guys, stop.
Hey, that's battery. That's battery on a law enforcement officer. It's a felony. Over stupid. So dumb. So dumb. Now, the governor of Illinois continues to try to act as if the world is perfect in Illinois. Let's watch this. Let's watch this clip from Fox News.
And is it totally divisive to suggest that just going at black and brown people introduces a ridiculous racial element into this. That is outrageous, what this governor's saying.
It's blood boiling. It is a disgusting smear to say there's racial profiling going on. Our ICE law enforcement are targeting criminals, and they're targeting those who are in this country illegally. Race has nothing to do with it. And for him to do that upon all these attacks on our law enforcement is just despicable. We will continue, though, to surge resources to protect the public in Chicago since J.B. Pritzker refuses to do it. And might I add the fact that J.B. Pritzker refuses to walk his own streets. Secretary Noem was just down there 2 days ago. She saw the rampant violence, the rampant crime, and J.B. Pritzker needs to step up and actually do his job, because if he looks at the facts, he'd find out that over the weekend, we arrested multiple Tren de Aragua members. We arrested drug traffickers. We arrested child pedophiles off of the streets of Chicago, and those are the people he's protecting as he allows them to terrorize Chicago residents.
I don't get it. If you want to be the president of the United States, and J.B. Pritzker wants to be the president of the United States, how can you go out there defending child rapists, defending gang members? Surely this rebounds on him politically, doesn't it?
You know, I think he thinks the American people are stupid, but the American people are very smart. We see with our own eyes and ears the violence that's occurring on America's great streets. And I think the American people spoke on November 5th, 2024, and we will continue to carry out the American people's mandate that we're going to get these criminals out of sanctuary cities all across America.
Tricia McLaughlin, thank you very much for being with us today. Very important.
I don't care. I have no empathy for all the libs that I know that watch this show, and that they what they do is that they watch the show and they comment on all my things. I don't care. If you are here illegally, I don't care if you're the most peaceful person on this in this country. I don't care if you've never committed a crime in your life. I don't care if you're an honest, hardworking citizen in the United States and you have this great job and you're a school teacher. I don't care. You're here illegally. You need to go. Period. And the fact that you were here illegally, that means you get to never come back here illegally. You need to go and never come back. If you want to come here, you need to do it legally. There's a million avenues to come to the United States. It's not the hardest thing in the world to do. You just have to jump through a couple of hoops. People do it every day. It's not a problem. My ancestors did it. Most of our ancestors did it. But there's no reason to come here illegally. Now, what we have been seeing from the right is we've been seeing some counter protesters there in support of the ICE agents. Now, this is a podcaster, Nick Sordor, who was in Portland, and the police did nothing after he was insulted by a counter protester.
We're live, right? We got it? Okay. So now we're going to get assaulted. You're going to be pushed. You're going to be... Don't do that! Where'd it go? I don't know, man. I got you.
I know. I had to. Hey, I've been neutral. I had to pick this up because I got. Yes, I have. I had to pick.
Look at this psychopathic liberal. Look at those friggin' eyes, dude. These people are out of their minds.
This up because I got dropped. Yes, I did. I got as much as I could. I didn't see it, and I was asking people what happened. I almost had somebody hold the camera until I saw there was medics there to help him. Hey, there's an ambulance coming in. Get out of the middle of the street.
Every last one of these people are morbidly obese and out of weight and overweight. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. All right, let's get back to the Chicago mayor. This is kind of what the rhetoric that the left is. The left has no explanation for anything other than the fact that it's racist. There's no legal recourse that they're taking. There's no logical argument against what the Trump administration is doing. So they have to call it racist. They have to call it divisive. They have to call it fascist. They have to call it Nazism. They have to call it things because they can't just let it play out. The smart thing for Democrats to do would be like, well, if you want to say we don't need the National Guard, there's no crime, we're not going to let the National Guard in. Just say, okay, I'm confused. Yeah, you guys are more than welcome. Yeah, sure, we'll give you anything you need, but there's really no crime here. Come on in. I mean, that's what I would do. Barack Obama wanted to send the National Guard into my city. I'd say, yeah, dude. I mean, there's nothing here. Actually, why don't you come out and I'll show you around and we'll break bread. We'll have dinner. The National Guard can come all they want, man. Yeah, there's nothing going on here in my city. But they won't do that because they're afraid. They don't want Trump to fix things and look like a hero. That's the real issue. If Donald Trump cleans up Chicago, if Donald Trump cleans up New York, if Donald Trump cleans up Portland, Oregon, if Donald Trump cleans up Los Angeles, San Francisco, if Donald Trump cleans up the United States of America, Democrats will look bad. So they cannot have that. They cannot have that. Here is Brian Johnson. Let's listen.
To volunteer, to be a part of this collective action. Here's what's most important here. We know that this president is not interested in adhering to the law.
I don't know that.
So we're going to give him something to hold him accountable. And if he violates the law in the city of Chicago, we will do just that. Hold him accountable.
But you're going to try to arrest the president of the United States again? That's what you're saying. You're going to create a law and then hold the president of the United States accountable to that law.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
I know you're going to talk about the Texas Guard, Illinois Guard, but can you give us a little bit about what your next steps could be to fight that?
Well, look, our corporate counsel has been in constant communication with our Attorney General for several months now. And I just wanted to offer this up. A couple of years ago, I said very candidly that the right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War.
Why? Why would we want a rematch when we're the ones who want it? Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican ever. The first Republican president. Why? Why would we want a rematch? We won. We won. The Democrats are the ones who instituted Jim Crow. The Democrats are the ones who fought for slavery. Why would Republicans, the victors of the Civil War, want a rematch? It doesn't make any sense. And even if you're right, which you're completely wrong, and you're saying that the Democrats were the ones who freed the slaves, which we know that is not true. It was the Republicans that did it. And the Republicans were the bad ones. Are you saying that we're trying to make you slaves again? This is the only argument that they have. And it's because they can't argue with logics and facts and truth. They have to argue with rhetoric, and they have to just invent things and make them up.
I want that to sit in right now because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
How has he declared war? By sending in the National Guard to protect ICE agents. And that's really all he sent them there to do, because the police, we're going to get into that in a little bit, but allegedly the police in Chicago have been told to stand down. Do not help federal ICE agents. Don't even back them up.
He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations while farmers in urban cities around this country are literally being destabilized. And so whether it's the legal system, whether it's through executive order, or whether it's through the brave women and men who are serving as rapid responders. We literally have people who are volunteering in this city, on the southwest side, the northwest side, all over this city, to make sure that we're protecting children from being separated from their families.
What children are being separated from their families? See, that's Democrat doublespeak, to quote George Orwell in 1984. That's Democrat doublespeak. What they're saying is, oh, well, you're separating children from their families. Okay. Well, here in the United States, you have a wonderful family, a husband, a wife, 4 kids. The husband loses his job. He goes out and robs a bank. His wife helps him. They get caught. They go to jail. They are separated from their children. So that's the words that the Democrats use. They say, instead of saying ICE is arresting illegal criminal aliens and deporting them back to their country, Democrats say ICE is illegally separating children from their parents. It's just, that's how they word it.
And we're talking about volunteers who are literally putting themselves at risk of being shot and killed by the federal government. And so
the federal government is going to shoot and kill American citizen volunteers.
Whether it's the legal system, whether it's our continuous struggle for liberation through organizing, and whether it's through executive action, or whether it's through law, it would be nice if we actually had lawmakers in Washington that would actually hold this president accountable. And if they won't do it, then the city of Chicago will, using every single tool that's available to us.
You're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're delusional. But the Democrat, they're just digging their own grave. Just be like, yeah, dude, I mean, come on in, man. Yeah, we have crime. We have a lot of crime, actually. I appreciate your help. Thank you. And then get on the microphone and take credit for it. Say, we reached out to the president. We need federal help. I'm trying to fix this city that I inherited, or however you want to spin it. But you're not going to be able to gaslight everyone. Like, dude, people live in Chicago. They know what's going on in Chicago. Like, they know that if they go down the street, there's a likelihood that they will get freaking robbed. Like, they're not idiots. Here he is again.
This administration is trying to divide us and pit people, groups against one another. They want to divide and conquer. And as I said, in the South Shore, and this has been said very clearly, black people in one van and immigrants in another. In the face of this unprecedented threat, this moment calls for unity. Black, brown, white, Asian, young, old, north side, west side, south side, we must all pull aside our differences and defend one another, because if we allow this to continue to be unchecked, by the time we realize what's happening, it'll be too late. And this executive order is a step.
I love how the people behind him just nod. They don't even know what he's talking about. They don't even understand like what's going on.
Unprecedented threat. This moment call.
Well, just watch them all. They're all like, oh, look at me. I'm acting interested. It's like in this BS they do in these news conferences. It's like, okay, well, let's get a really diverse people behind us. I need 2 black people. I need a Spanish person. Any Asians? Yeah, there's an Asian. Let's get an Asian in there. And then let's throw in a white woman for measure. And then kind of white, but maybe Hispanic male. Like, that's what they do. And then pop them behind them. I'll never forget when I was in the Marine Corps and Barack Obama came. And he gave a speech at Camp Lejeune. And they had to mandate like all these Marines go to this speech because nobody wanted to go. And then when we all got there, they specifically picked minorities to sit behind him in the stands and not just anybody who got there. They like hand selected people. His staff did. And that's what they did here. Look how perfectly diverse everybody in the background is. But the one thing is that they're all diverse for skin color, but not their emotions. There's not a disagreeing voice standing behind the mayor, is there? Watch their faces.
Cause for unity. Black, brown, white, Asian, young, old, north side, west side, south side. We must all pull aside our differences and defend one another, because if we allow this to continue to be unchecked, by the time we realize what's happening, it'll be too late. And this executive order is a step towards accountability and is calling for the basic rule of law. In the coming days and weeks, we may be pushed, if not forced, to take even more dramatic action if this administration continues to escalate and provoke our people. In closing, last night I spoke with the governor, and he informed me that the Trump administration is deploying Texas National Guard to our city. We will speak to our response later today. We'll do that with the governor as well as the attorney general.
So you refused to give him your National Guard, so now he's bringing in another National Guard to protect the ICE agents that are under attack, and now you're upset that he's bringing it in. You should have just had your National Guard go, and then you'd have some sort of level of control.
For now, let me just say that we are unequivocally going to continue to reject the military occupation of our city.
Occupation?
The Trump
Get the
administration
fuck outta
must
here.
end the war on Chicago. The Trump administration must end this war against Americans. The Trump administration must end its attempt to dismantle our democracy. Right as we are to build greater resistance, Chicagoans are clear. Militarizing our troops in our city as justification to further escalate a war in Chicago will not be tolerated.
There is a war in Chicago. It's a gangland war.
The past teaches us that just because we are on the right side of history.
Look at this lady here, like emotionally crying, this Spanish lady. And then this white lady. And then this black lady is just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. This guy has zero emotion. He's just nodding along. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, makes perfect sense.
That doesn't mean that we will succeed. It's going to take courage and determination, bravery, unity. But one thing that I know for sure in this great nation, this moment that we are in, Chicago was built for this moment.
Chicago was built. The entire history of Chicago was built upon this moment when Donald Trump sent in the National Guard to protect ICE agents. Chicago, all of its history, Al Capone, the Chicago fires, dyeing the river green, the Irish immigrant. Absolutely amazing. Now, CNN is trying to turn this into as if Donald Trump, this is killing Donald Trump's polls. And here is the thing. Is with any poll, there's millions of polls. Like millions. Millions is an exaggeration. There's thousands of polls. Hundreds of thousands of polls from 10 million different sources. And they all have different results. So CNN chooses the polls that they want to favor what the opinion that they want. And Fox News or Newsmax or whoever chooses polls to data what they want. There are some impartial polls out there. But I'm curious to see which one that CNN used for this.
Yeah,
poll.
it's a political loser, John. It's a political loser. Donald Trump may think it's a political winner, but it's a political loser. Oppose Trump deploying in a U.S. city, active duty U.S. military.
So source.
61%. The national.
Source is CBS News. That's the poll. So people who watch CBS News are the ones who took this poll. CBS is the same company that did that story on the guy that tried to open the gate, and then the ICE agent called the police and then tried to turn it around like he didn't try to open a gate. So you understand the poll that they're using.
Guard in particular, 58%. When you get 3 in 5 Americans agreeing on anything, you know if that is on the opposition side, it's a political loser. And among independents, who are, of course, that key block in the middle of the United States political electorate, we're talking about 2/3 of independents. Crime will spiral out of control if the troops don't go into cities. What you see here is the majority that takes the case is that Trump may use the National Guard to intimidate political rivals at 51%. Just 42% of Americans agree with the Donald Trump stance that, in fact, big city crime will spiral out of control if the National Guard doesn't go into U.S. cities. So essentially what we're seeing here is Donald Trump's making a case, the Democratic opposition's making another case, and the Democratic opposition's case is winning here, and that is a big reason why what you see is you get...
So from a New York Times post is what he just told you. That's coming from the New York Times.
About 3 in 5 Americans saying they don't want troops going into U.S. cities.
You have another really interesting way at looking at this. President Trump seems uniquely focused on Portland, on Memphis, on these cities and crime there. What do voters think he should be focused on?
Okay, so if you saw the opening slide on this segment, right, it was, has Trump taken his eye off the ball? The American people believe, yes, John Berman, Donald Trump has taken his eye off the ball. There is too much focus on putting troops into U.S. cities. 52%, the majority of Americans agree that the Trump admin is focusing too much on that. Where do they want him to go? They want him to focus on lowering prices. 75% say there's too little focus on lowering prices. This is the reason that Donald Trump was put into office, was to lower prices. And at this particular point, 3 in 4 Americans say there is too little focus. Donald Trump is focusing on the wrong things, and they don't like the way he's going about it. And this, my friends, will tell the entire story. If it holds a year from now, going into the midterm elections, if the Republicans lose control of the House, dare lose control of the Senate, it will be because they believe that Donald Trump has lost focus. He is not keeping his eye on the ball.
That's not true. So it also depends on how you ask the question. So say I'm conducting a poll and I say, hey, how are you, citizen? Right? Are you a Democrat or Republican? Oh, you're an independent. Great. I just have a couple of questions for you. What's more important to you personally? For Donald Trump to focus on bringing troops in to U.S. cities, which, you know, we don't need those, right? Or lowering your grocery bill. Which one is more important? Do you want to save money since you live here in Iowa? Or do you want to focus on Chicago? If you ask it that way, you're asking it in a biased way. And that's what I'm saying. Like, most polls are useless. Most polls are completely useless. This is a video that I bookmarked this because I think it's hilarious. During one of the protests, there was somebody wearing a giant frog suit. And there is an ICE agent that took pepper spray and sprayed it into the air vent. So the air vent, but we're going to follow this closely and we're going to check it out. We're going to see just how far this goes, because I'm curious to see just how far Chicago thinks that they can take it, because I don't think they could take it anywhere. So here is, let's watch this on MSNBC.
Oregon Attorney General's lawyer last night was explaining, we filed a TRO to prevent deployment of the Oregon National Guard. They went another way and called in the California National Guard. We then came back to you with California asking to stop that deployment, and then we learned that they were calling in the Texas National Guard.
Just let them go there.
So I think they are preparing for the pivoting of the Trump administration to another source of legal authority, not just turning to other National Guards, but now if they are going to be thwarted in any effort to invoke Title X to deploy any National Guard, what other legal authorities are at their disposal? Well, we understand that the White House is floating the idea of the Insurrection Act, that Stephen Miller had a conversation with CNN today in which he sort of suggested that that may be a next avenue. In a conversation with our own Vaughn Hilliard today, he did not dispute that that was an avenue that they are considering going down. So I want.
So MSNBC, were you this upset at the power of the executive branch when Joe Biden was forcing every human being in the United States to get a shot in their arm? Or are you just mad at it now because it doesn't align with your politics?
Because he's talking about how he believes that these federal law enforcement officers might have broken the law in this raid specifically, and that he's going to use the full weight of the state to try to prosecute them if they have. Could they get into a scenario where Governor Pritzker tries to order state law enforcement officers to arrest federal law enforcement officers if they see them, in their estimation, breaking the law? I mean, that gets into a really, I don't know, is that possible? I mean, we'll find out. I think that he's going to be asked that during this news conference. But what would that be like?
It would be horrible, because I think that the showdown between different forms of law enforcement.
Division. Here's Jane Fonda. Just a traitor to the United States as far as I'm concerned. On CNN talking about Donald Trump.
No president has ever sent troops into the Democratic cities across the country.
Abraham Lincoln did. Abraham Lincoln stopped any state that was trying to secede from the Union. The Maryland legislature was going to vote on secession. They were going to pass a vote on secession, and they were going to join the South. Lincoln sent in federal troops and invaded the democratic process, even though secession is an inherent right of each individual state. Oh, Ryan, no, that's not true. Yes, it is true. It is true because at one point, all 13 colonies were members of the British government. They decided not to. So what did they do? They seceded from Great Britain and established their own government because they did not like the way that it was going because it had grown too powerful. Yes, states have the right to secede. Period. End of discussion. Full stop. You can't argue it. We did it from Great Britain and started our own country. That's what the southern states were doing because they didn't agree with the direction of the country. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant.
Full force. No president, as far as I know, has tried to control the Federal Reserve, the central bank. He is amassing power.
Andrew Jackson. This is just, guys, I'm just listening to this video. I just played this video. I've never seen it before. This is all off the top of my head. And this person's like some famous person. Like, look at that face. Andrew Jackson. It was called the Bank of the United States. Andrew Jackson did not want a Bank of the United States. I happen to agree with that. So what he did is he said, yeah, we're just not going to have that. I'm going to stop putting money into it. And we're going to go ahead and close that thing down. And that's what he did. So yeah, he exerted control over the Bank of the United States or the Federal Reserve at that time.
Power in a way that will destroy our democracy.
It's a republic, Jane Fonda.
And so we're going to stand up. You know, we're creatives, we're storytellers. We can do it creatively. We can have a good time while we do it. But we want to push back, and we want to model what creative, nonviolent, non-cooperation looks like. That doesn't mean just showing up for people who are under attack, like Jimmy Kimmel. A lot of us signed that ACLU statement protesting what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. But we want to also, we want to be proactive, and we want to show what that can look like. And we want to, violence is not, we will not tolerate violence. We don't want any of that, but we want to move forward with love, with unity, with solidarity, and we want to encourage everybody else and all the other sectors of this country to do the same. You know, we don't.
Shut up. Shut up, Jane Fonda. Here is the Chicago police chief talking about what is called the Trust Act. Let's watch this.
Let me first talk about the Trust Act. The Trust Act.
What is this? Tell me.
Prohibits law enforcement in the state of Illinois from engaging in assisting federal agents when it comes to immigration enforcement.
Chicago law will not permit a state law enforcement officer or a city law enforcement officer from aiding federal agents against illegal immigrants. So that means that if a federal agent, an ICE agent, is attempting to apprehend an illegal criminal alien, and the illegal criminal alien shoots the federal law enforcement officer, it is illegal. Illegal, not just against company policy or city policy. It is illegal. It is a crime for a local law enforcement officer to assist that federal law enforcement officer. So therefore they won't. Therefore, you need the National Guard to protect the ICE agents. That's why they're there.
We abide by that law. Let me first talk about the Trust Act.
We abide by that law. Thank you. Thank you for telling the entire world exactly what you're doing and what your plan is. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that. Here is this is President Trump. He has no problem invoking the Insurrection Act if rogue judges, mayors, and governors continue holding up and impeding federal law. Let's hear what he has to say.
Over a weekend. What?
The Insurrection Act, under what conditions or terms would you?
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe over a weekend.
It's a losing argument for Democrats, dude. Like, they're fight it all you want, Dems. I mean, seriously, it doesn't bother me, because all it does is make you look like you don't know what the heck you're doing. It makes you look really bad when your normal American citizen is cognitively and wholeheartedly aware that Chicago's just not a safe place to be, dude. New York is not a safe place to be. And when you act like it is and you treat people like they're morons, and then Trump says, no, I'm trying to fix that, and you argue with him and you try to stop him and fight him from making it safe and getting these illegals out of here, which is one of the main reasons Trump was elected. Democrats just shoot themselves in the foot all of the time. I don't understand it. Here's MSNBC. Let's listen to this.
Fact remains that the judge had an opportunity to hear all the facts from both sides.
No. The judge is a Democrat judge. This is Oregon. And
the best that the federal government could do was present facts from the president's own Truth Social media. So that's the type of facts that the federal government is working with. We're using real facts in a courtroom, and that's why the judge sided with us. The president just doesn't get off of a helicopter, walk out of the White House, and just make things up. If you're going to do that, you don't get to deploy the military using those types of fake facts. You actually have to have real facts if you want to put the military on the streets of our cities.
He's going to do it anyway. He doesn't care. He's going to do it anyway, and he's going to make it work, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Here is Stephen Miller holding nothing back against this CNN host. Let's watch this. Stephen Miller is funny to me.
If a Democratic president someday calls the National Guard to a red state over what they see as open rebellion, but is what amounts to a demonstration that gets rowdy. I mean, is that not a fear?
They're posting pictures of their kids because it's a demonstration, and they have a sniper on top of a building.
firing a high-caliber rifle at an ICE facility because it's a demonstration, and they are engaged in vehicle ramming
But the
attacks,
National Guard
coordinated
isn't being
ramming
sent to
attacks
Texas.
because it's a
The National Guard
demonstration.
isn't being sent to Dallas, where that sniper was.
Because the Dallas Police Department and the governor of Texas, well, you walked right into that one, have responded to every call for assistance and help. They gave a stand-down order in Chicago, and they gave a stand-down order in Portland. Do you realize that there's 11,000 federal law enforcement officers in Oregon? That's larger than the size of the FBI. Local and state police are resourced to deal with this kind of riotous assembly, but they have refused. They've been given a stand-down order. So
They've
we
arrested
need
some
to use
70
National
people
Guard and
since
federal
June.
troops.
There's millions of them in the United States. You've arrested 70 people since June. What are you talking about?
They've been
to fill
arresting
in
folks
that
on the
breach.
ground. They've been arresting folks on the ground. They refute
haven't
what you're
touched-
saying outright.
We literally have the 911 audio of the stand-down order in Chicago, and we have documented inside of DHS every single unresponded to 911 call over the recent weeks and months.
You heard the chief of police say, the trust law, the trust law, the trust law. He literally said it out loud. He literally said it out loud to the nation. Let's listen to the governor. He's a friggin' turd.
There is not an emergency in the city of Chicago.
In Chicago over the weekend, at least 54 people were shot. This is just over Labor Day weekend.
We do not want troops on the ground in the city of Chicago. Neither do the people of Chicago or the people of the state.
They're going to hold their cards to their chest and say, we don't need you in Chicago. Well, I'm here to say, we do need you in Chicago.
No one wants them to come, that crime is down.
The governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago.
Do not come to Chicago. You are neither wanted here nor needed here.
For anyone in our community to say that things are getting better and that people are safe, that is an outright lie.
The president is still operating on some antiquated idea.
Our children can't walk around the community without fear of being hurt or kidnapped or having a drive-by.
Chicago is in much better shape as a result of the work that we are doing to prevent crime, to interrupt crime, to reduce crime.
I don't see a reduction in crime.
The city is moving in the right direction on crime.
Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No. Not at all.
No one really feels safe. It's impossible to feel safe in a city like this, especially with the leadership we have.
There you have it. I'm sure not. There's people out there that disagree too. That's just a mashup. But we're going to see, because I like the fact that we're getting the cities safe, but I don't like the facts that we're flexing the executive branch very hard. And I won't like the fact if we introduce the Insurrection Act. This country was founded on insurrection. But let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Go to ryanfsamuels.com/shop. Okay. Check out this cool shirt, Gulf of America. Go to ryanfsamuels.com/news. Check it out. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're listening on the podcast and you got this far, make sure you tune in Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X. And then this live show, this is all done live. There's no recording, no anything. Everything is done 100% live. And then we put it on the podcast in the morning. You can find the Ryan Samuel Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, anywhere you listen to podcasts, YouTube podcasts. It's everywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow night.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ryan Samuel Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.